Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binaries. Welcome to the Chamber of the Wraith. My name is Barbara. I am joined by Honey, and today we are talking about more Johto Pokemon that so desperately need a buff. Starting with one of my favorite Pokemon that is just awful, Magcargo.
Oh, Magcargo. It is such a fun Pokemon. Its Slugma form is just one of the cutest fire Pokemon ever. Magcargo itself is actually one of the more interesting defense-oriented fire-type Pokemon to exist, but it does not have enough to exist.
It is so bad. Like, okay, Magcargo on the surface 50 HP, 50 attack. If it has decent special attack, that's fine. 120 physical defense, that's not bad. And as of Generation 7, it has 90 special attack, which is pretty respectable. A decent defense stat, and 30 speed, which makes sense. It's a goddamn snail. How? Oh, and it also got a slight HP boost in Generation 7. However, the thing is meant to be a tank. Problem, it has 4 times weaknesses and 2 normal weaknesses to some of the best offensive types in the game.
Yeah, Earthquake, one of the most commonly used offensive attacking moves in the game. Also, Water, one of the most common and most powerful types in just everyone has to have some sort of bulky water on their team to win the game.
Or just a water type in general, like Keldeo or something.
Yeah, it's just... Magcargo is just always the butt of the joke when the 2 most popular damaging type moves in the game are its 2 biggest weaknesses. You're not going to be a tank with that attitude.
Absolutely not. And now granted, it does actually have some really useful resistances. A 4 times resistance to fire never hurts. A 4 times resistance to any type never hurts, really. And a resistance to 3 really strong offensive types in Flying, Ice, and Fairy is definitely not bad. And yeah, a resistance to normal might not seem good at the surface, but, you know, normal hits pretty much everything for neutral unless it's a rock type. So, not terrible, but it's one of those things where it's like, oh my Jesus, what the hell are we going to do with you? Mag Cannon! Talk to us about this hypothetical evolution.
First, I just want to talk a little bit more about just how bad Magcargo is, where its abilities are just not at all useful. For one, its only good ability is Flame Body, which gives a 30% chance that any physical contact move will burn the opponent.
Which synergizes really well with its 120 physical defense.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, you're going to be tanking those physical attacks that are going to be hitting you, but that's not, having that is just, it's too random of a chance to actually happen, is not something you really want to build around. And the other 2 abilities is Magma Armor, which prevents the fire-type Pokemon from being frozen, and Weak Armor, which, when hit with a physical attack, its defense is lowered by 1, and its speed is raised by 2.
Now,
in what universe is a Pokemon with 30 speed ever getting a benefit from this?
That's the main problem with having Weak Armor on this Pokemon. If you have high defense and middling speed, Weak Armor can actually work out pretty well. Look at Onix. I mean, Onix is one of Little Cup's best Pokemon because of Weak Armor, isn't it?
I think actually they use Sturdy on that. Or no, they use they use Rockhead on that one because it has one of the best. It's one of the best head smashers in Little Cup.
Oh well, Weak Armor on Kabutops, that works pretty well if it can survive the first hit. I suppose if you have a Focus Sash on it, then a free agility.
Weak Armor works better, in my opinion, on Pokemon that have average defensive stats with decent-ish speed stats to use it as an actual speed boost.
Yeah, so it's situationally useful. Also, Magma Armor. What?
It's just... Okay, here's the thing, actually, what I should do. This is the thing every Pokemon with Magma Armor should have. Instead of being cannot be frozen, Magma Armor should be immunity to ice.
Well, there you go.
Just that would, at the very least, give people a reason to use Magma Armor. It makes fucking sense, and it's not that's actually a really useful thing, because Ice as a type is not really useful as a Pokemon type, but a lot of Pokemon like to use Ice-type moves because they actually have decent utility against Pokemon like Dragons and Flying types. So, having an immunity to a decent attacking move type is actually a pretty good ability.
Yeah, because Ice is the epitome of the Glass Cannon type. It is terrible on defense, but on offense, it's actually really solid.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing that makes it really funny. Magma Armor is on only 3 Pokemon. Magcargo, Slugma, and Camerupt. And because Camerupt is neutral to Ice, the Magma Armor buff would make Camerupt better too. Because it's neutral to Ice, and then it becomes an immunity. As opposed to taking a single resistance and turning it into an immunity. Like, an immunity is obviously great, no matter what. It's just, Camerupt benefits more from that change.
Exactly, and we'll discuss that when we get over to Gen 3 for Camerupt. But now let's talk over to Mag Cannon.
Which, this is Honey's idea for an evolution for Magcargo.
Yes, I had this idea a while back when I was working on a custom Pokemon video game I wanted to make for a future of like a Hoenn in the Future game. And one of the ideas I had was to create an evolution for Magcargo because the main initial thing is Magcargo with Eviolite is insane. It already has 120 defense and 80 special defense. Taking all of that and multiplying it by 1.5 for an Eviolite boost makes this into literally one of the strongest tanks in the game. Even 4 times weakness to water is not going to do anything against this.
Or Earthquake. It's going to be able to tank this to hell and back. But what about Mag Cannon itself? What do you do with Mag Cannon?
Mag Cannon's basic thing is I would take the existing stat line for Magcargo and put all of its stat boosts into special attack. Because this thing is now a fucking tank. Ooh. It's basically going to go where the shell is going to now it's going to slow down so much that its shell is going to, it's going to get like a little military style shell over its head now, like a soldier helmet.
Okay.
It's going to solidify a little more, so it's going to have like that. Its little droopy mouth is going to become like a military mustache, like one of the like big, I forgot the German guys, those Prussian named Archdukes guys or whatever, where they had like really big mustaches. And it's going to have a fucking volcano cannon coming out of its shell.
So this is basically Fire, Rock, or Octillery is what I'm hearing.
Exactly.
But way more defensive and a hell of a lot scarier. Because at 430, you could very feasibly give this thing a 100-point stat boost.
I wouldn't give straight up 100 points to special attack. I'd give it like a 50-point stat boost to give it like 140 special attack, and then maybe put the rest of it into like a bit extra into speed, a bit extra into like just like 10 points into speed, 10 points into special defense, 20 points into HP maybe, but like the majority of it is like 50 points going straight into special attack.
You know what would actually be beneficial for that? Like, let me take a look at this for a second. Where is my calculator? There we go. So, because of how big it is, I would actually argue it should be very slightly slower. This is not a problem, actually. Because, well, it's going to be...
Absolutely she gets slower based off of the lore I just said of it becoming slower and its body becoming more and more encased in the hard igneous rock.
Exactly. So it being a little bit slower down to 20 speed, that's actually beneficial for it for 2 reasons. One, it's already going to be outsped by pretty much every Pokemon on the field anyway. Lowering its speed at this point in time is not going to do anything. Unless it's on Trick Room. And that makes this thing fucking horrifying. Second, it gives you 110 special points to play with. If we have 110 and all 50 of those are going into special attack, that is 60 points to play with, and I know how to distribute it. 30 into HP, making it base 90. 20 into special defense, giving it a base 100 special defense. And you're gonna potentially hate me for this one. We'll see. An extra 10 points in physical defense. So it would then have 90 base HP, 50 base physical attack, 130 base physical defense, 140 special attack, 100 base special defense, and 20 speed. This thing with an assault vest will be horrifying, especially in doubles on a Trick Room team. Balanced by its
definition. This would be the definition of all power, no speed.
Exactly. And like, some people might say, whoa, those stats are really, really busted. It's got 2 4x weaknesses to balance it out. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, we already brought this up earlier at the beginning of this thing. It has 2 4x weaknesses to the most common attacking types in the game.
It's gonna be fine. Be thankful we didn't make this thing a fire steel type, because then there'd really be problems. But yeah, mag cannon.
Yeah, but no, I think rock still makes sense.
Oh yeah, like rock absolutely still makes sense, and I don't mind it at all. By the way, I find it funny that this thing gets shell smash.
Oh god, giving this thing a shell smash mag cannon.
Well, what point would you want the speed boost for? But the boost to its special attack would not be anything to sneeze at. I mean,
yeah, just taking that 140 special attack and shell smashing it into that. Oh my god.
Plus, you have to consider it's got strong coverage as mag cargo. Like fire and rock as coverage. Whoops, that's the wrong thing. Fire and rock on its own is perfect neutral coverage with 6 super effective types that it can hit. Flying, bug, steel, fire, grass, and ice all have to watch out for this. But it also knows earth power, which means 58% of all Pokemon, and any Pokemon with the following 9 types, flying, poison, rock, bug, electric, grass, fire, steel, and ice, have to watch out.
I'd also point out, I don't know if this will help or anything, but it already learns Infestation as one of its moves. I could easily see giving a Magcargo some extra bug-type moves because it is a snail.
True. And to keep in mind, Infestation is actually an interesting move for this utility, for this Pokemon to have as utility, because it's a 20 base power bug-type move. That doesn't sound great on the surface, but it's a trapping move. Like Fire Spin, but it's 100% accurate, unlike Fire Spin. So this thing with Infestation can grab you, force you to stay in with it. You can't hit this thing.
It's not really gonna force you to stay in because it has 20 speed.
Well, no. With a trapping move. With a trapping move.
You set up Trick Room first, then drop this thing out, and then have it do Infestation.
Exactly. Like you think you got set up. Maybe you'll have a crack at it. You don't kill it. You infest. It's in trouble. Mm-hmm. Because even if you fight a Focus Sash Pokemon or a Pokemon that just barely lives your crazy buffed Flamethrower, Infestation's going to kill you.
Yeah.
So between the Magma Armor buff, making it immune to Ice-type moves, and Mag Cannon's existence, I think we've covered Magcargo pretty well.
Yes, this is one of my favorite ideas as just game design elements with this Pokemon. I love this idea so much.
Hey, I love the idea of a militarized slug.
It's such a cute idea.
Mamoswine.
Okay. This is one of my mains. Like, this is literally one of my, big, I have to, I love... So, when I was a kid, I had a little thought experiment of what would I have if if all of the animals on Earth were turned into Pokemon counterparts, what Pokemon would I have as options? My family actually has a farm, and we raised yaks.
Yaks?
Yes, we raised yaks on our farm, and what is Piloswine if not a cross between a pig and a yak?
I mean, you're not wrong. You are absolutely correct. And second, that is so weirdly cool. Not the thing that I ever would have expected. Like, I used to grow up on a farm. Cool. What did you raise? Chickens, pigs, yaks.
Yaks are adorable. They behave like when you get along with them and they're super goofy. They basically act like giant 2-ton dogs with swords on their heads. They're just bouncing around in the pasture, all giddy, looking for head scratches. They were adorable.
Okay, well, no wonder you like mammoth swine so much, because it becomes a yak mammoth.
Yeah. Oh god, I mean, okay, it's probably not really that close to a yak, really. It's just a woolly pig and then a woolly mammoth. But I just, like, there wasn't really a yak counterpart in Pokemon.
You know what? I'll take it. I'll take this thing being the yak counterpart. Plus...
There needs to be a yak Pokemon now. I need a yak Pokemon.
A regional variant of Tauros is always on the table. But... we need to...
Yeah, anyway, Mamoswine itself.
Where is it right now? Because this thing used to be incredible for OU and UU because ground and ice typing, yeah, it's not great. It's not the best defensively, but, like, it's not the best defensively. It does have an immunity to electric. But this thing...
Yeah, no, it's insane offensively.
Yeah.
It is still in UU to this day.
That's not surprising. It hits everything neutrally and deals double damage to half of the types in the game and over half of all Pokemon. And yeah, you might be thinking...
It is a very powerful wall breaker in UU due to its amazing offensive typing. Unfortunately, it has low defenses, below average speed, and a bad defensive typing, making it easy prey for common threats like Scizor, Keldeo, and Rotom Wash. Without thick fat, it virtually has no defensive utility outside of switching into electric type attacks, and even then, it cannot always check certain electric type threats like Thundurus T, which lives in Ice Shard from full and KOs back with Focus Blast. Other ground type wall breakers like Excadrill and Zygarde 10% offer better defensive utility and greater speed. So it's a lower tier UU Pokemon at this moment. But it is seen play in OU. There isn't anything... I'm just saying, OU is better than UU, actually, right?
Yeah, OU is considered standard play. If you're good in OU, you are widely considered a good Pokemon.
Yeah, so right now it basically sees most of its play in UU with some play in OU. I think probably all it really needs is maybe... I don't know what specifically it needs, because it's one, given a stat boost, the defense or special defense doesn't seem enough, considering I think its weaknesses are in both directions. It's too frail in both ends.
Yeah. One thing to keep in mind, too, is that it already got a relatively recent buff in Oblivious, now making this thing immune to Intimidate.
That is true, yes. And as a offensive sweeper, that is immensely necessary.
Especially with its 130 physical attack and the fact that this thing shuts down dragons like nothing else.
I think, honestly, the best thing for Mamoswine would maybe just dropping down to RU.
In the next generation, that seems likely. Or, one thing you could also consider is, like, just by looking at the moves it is mostly running, I'm presuming it's stuff like Earthquake and Icicle Crash. Earthquake, Icicle Crash for stab, because that is not resisted by anything and covers over half the game. And then just a few coverage moves, right? Like, what is it using in UU?
No, it runs Icicle Crash, Earthquake, Ice Shard, and Knockoff.
Of course, wait a minute, of course it's running Ice Shard. That is, like, its selling point in Generations 4 and 5, because that could have O-code Garchomp. But, okay, and the other one was knockoff to knockoff items. Okay. So it's really hard to decide what you want to do for that then, because the only thing I can think of for a buff that would help it, but at the same time also help several other Pokemon, is making Icicle Crash 90% accurate, or 100% accurate.
I don't think so. I think it should have the same accuracy as Rock Slide, just because it's literally supposed to be the ice version of Rock Slide.
Except Ice Shard's not a spread move, is it? May affect anyone it
sure it is.
Oh, no, it isn't. It's...
Oh, it isn't? Just make it a spread move, then. It should absolutely be because Icicle Crash, it's the ice version of Rock Slide. It should be a spread move.
And you know what? That will help its... it gets Stealth Rock, too. But that is really helpful for its doubles viability, because while it does get access to...
One of the most adorable things is that it still uses Never Melt Ice as one of its held item options. which debuted in the same game. There was a version of Never Melt Ice that's not the same thing, but it debuted in the same generation that Piloswine debuted in, because they didn't have held items, I don't think, in the first... No, they didn't have held items in the first game, and Never Melt Ice was debuted in the same game as Piloswine, and it's still existing to this day as part of Piloswine's toolkit.
Hold on.
They can be found in the same cave, the same place. It's still holding its precious little ice.
Oh, that's cool! Well, pun not intended, mind you.
Hey, own your puns!
Anyways, no, but that one was genuinely unintended. So I have to be honest.
That is fair. I am honest about my unintentional puns.
A buff to Icicle Crash to make it a spread move would be great, because it means it doesn't have to run Rock Slide for coverage and doubles. One thing that I think would be worth considering for Mamoswine, I think, is potentially, because all of its abilities are good. We should change it.
Yeah, it's Oblivious, Thick Fat, and Snow Cloak are all really good.
Yeah, like Snow Cloak is banned, if I'm not mistaken, because it's an evasion boosting ability.
No, I think they still allow Snow Cloak on some Pokemon. I think some Pokemon they don't allow it, but others. Let me check. The Smogon should just basically would say if it's banned or not on some Pokemon.
Yeah, or just banned in general.
I think it doesn't say it's banned. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, like, a lot of competitive players like to act like evasion moves are banned, but it's, like, only, like, straight up, like, Double Team is banned.
Well, even then, that's only in singles. In doubles, you can absolutely still run Snow Cloak on Mamoswine, because, evasion is not banned in VGC, so...
yeah, but Smogon specifically is, single player, not, VGC.
Exactly, so that's where that kind of gets scary. That's why I talk about them equally. Point is, we don't know what to do to Mamoswine, except for either let it drop down a tier, or some level of stat buff somewhere.
I think, honestly, in this situation, it's just one of those cases of give it a 10-point boost to both defense and special defense and call it a day and hope maybe that helps.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all you can really do for this thing.
Next Pokemon.
Corsola.
Corsola and Cursula.
Yes. Interestingly, like the whole Cursula line thingamajig, that's probably the longest time a Pokemon has gone between getting like regional variants. Like the longest it's ever been, from 2 to 8. And then, yeah, some got from 1 to 7, but
it's interesting. I don't get why they gave Corsola itself a little stat change, where they made it from 65 HP and 35 speed to and put 5 of those both into their special and defense and physical defense.
Well, that's the switch from Generation 7 Corsola to Galarian Corsola.
Yeah, but Corsola itself still has 95 defense and 95 special defense and 35 speed and 65 HP.
Yeah, that was a change from Generations 2 to 6, which it had 55, 55, 85, 65, 85, 35. Now it has 65, 55, 95, 65, 95, 35. So it got a 30-point stat boost.
What is confusing me is I don't get why they specifically made the effort to make Corsola Galar different stat-wise from base Corsola.
I'm not sure. What type is Galarian Corsola? It's Water Ghost, isn't it?
Pure Ghost.
Oh, just Pure Ghost. Maybe thematically that is more appropriate because it's Dead Coral, but...
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's Pure Ghost and it's Dead Coral. I just don't get why they I feel like, because it's such a small change. They went from 65 HP to 60 HP and 95 special defense to 100 special defense, and the same for special defense and speed.
If it was a specifically defensive, like a specifically meta-based change, I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that Galarian Corsola can use Eviolite, but normal Corsola can't.
They buffed the defenses, not lowered the defenses.
That still makes it better for Eviolite.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. I guess it's well. Let's just So, do we talk about Corsola at all, or do we just talk about Cursula?
I think we should talk about Jotonian Corsola because,
Okay.
I mean, what do you... this thing was deserving an evolution ever since it existed, and they waited six, 7 generations to do it, and they made it a regional variant, which has got to sting for any fans of normal Corsola, because it's so damn cute.
Although 100% agree. I love Corsola. I hate how hard it is to catch this thing. It is one of the few Johto Pokemon you can catch in the game without having to, like, finish the game ahead of time. But it's really hard to catch it. It's specifically region locked to, like, one town, and you have to use a super rod to get it. Yeah. It is really hard to get.
And one other thing to consider, too, is that Corsola has the stats of a Pokemon that should be able to evolve, even after its stat boost of 410. And really, I mean, one piece of trivia is that Wolfie VGC and a bunch of other competitive Pokemon did a Corsola-only tournament once upon a time. And there was a lot of interesting developments out of that. I think it was done to prove the point that even if you have a meta of one Pokemon, things change and adapt. But it's got some interesting moves on its own. It's got Power Gem, Earth Power, Life Dew, but like its natural move learn set is just not good. Like its strongest Rock Stab naturally is Power Gem, which is okay, and then it has Earth Power, which is not bad. But then its strongest Water type stab is Bubble Beam.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, you look at its stats and think, oh, maybe it's fairly defensive. It's Water Rock type, which is not that great defensively. 4 times weakness to grass.
It's always awkward when you see something that's Water Rock, because you think, oh, that should actually be pretty good, and you realize, oh, no, I'm thinking of Ground.
Yeah, Water Ground is where it's at. Yes, it would still have a 4 times weakness, but it has way more neutral
It's only
matchups.
a 4 times weakness to one thing, really, as opposed to, and basically an only weakness to that, as opposed to Water Rock, which is a weakness to fighting, steel, a lot of things.
Well, it's not actually weak to steel because the water type helps neutralize that, I believe. But actually, wait, where is steel on here? Where did steel go?
Is it just not? It doesn't take any damage. It doesn't deal any damage. It just crashes the game if it takes steel damage.
Nope, there it is. It's neutral. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. But it still has 2 times weaknesses to 3 of the most common attacking types in the game: fighting, ground, and electric. And it dies to grass. Having a 4 times resistance to fire isn't going to help you when you have those nasty weaknesses. So poor Corsola is in an awkward situation where it wants to be defensive, but it's too weak defensively. So it has to try and fall back on offenses, which its offenses move-wise, like Rock and Ground, as far as coverage.
They still give it a defensive move pool. In PU, it's running a Regenerator, Leftovers, Stealth Rock, Recover, Skull, Toxic set.
Yeah, so it's trying its best to be defensive, but it doesn't seem that good at it. And then, like, you try to run it, and then running in this thing offensively, forget about it, you know?
Mm-mm.
It's in that weird...
It's outclassed as a Stealth Rock user. There's way too many good threats that outclass it, like Victory Bell and Girder. The Pokemon that do use Stealth Rock are way better at using Stealth Rock than it, because they have way better stats and are more threatening. The only redeeming quality is that it has access to both Recover and Regenerator, which is, like, the big thing, I think, for Cursula is maybe to try to turn it into a Regenerator Wisher or something, or some sort of, like, Cleric-type role.
But that would mean expanding its moveset, which is probably the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, the big thing is it can't really be a Cleric, because even if we give it Wish, it has 65 HP.
So it's decent, but not great.
It's not nearly enough to be a Wisher.
Yeah, it's not doing Chansey levels of healing here. It definitely needs a moveset buff, and it probably needs a proper evolution. So,
Yeah.
Speaking on that evolution, now we can talk about Cursula, because Cursula and Galarian Corsola feature vastly different niches based off of their stats, because Galarian Corsola has 100 in defenses, 60 HP, 30 speed, and so on. But then we take a look at Cursula, which has 50 base defense, 95 base physical attack, 130 special defense, and a mind-blowing 145 special attack.
Okay, one thing I see that Galarian Corsola has that Cursula... Does it have access to this? Let me double check. What is this move? Strength Sap. Does normal Cursula have Strength Sap?
I don't think it does. If you're talking about Strength Sap, I do not think normal Corsola has it.
It does not. That is absolutely a move that Corsola should get.
Yeah.
Just because Strength Sap is that sort of move they tend to give to any Pokemon that has, like, branches or barbs on.
Yeah, and, it's only on Galarian Corsola. It is not on normal Corsola, which is really strange. Because,
yeah.
And I mean, Strength Sap is a great move for a defensive Pokemon to have. Lowering the opponent's physical attack stat and healing based off of the opponent's physical attack stat is not bad at all.
Yeah, Galarian Corsola works as a hard-to-break wall due to having access to Eviolite and moves like Nightshade and Whirlpool, which can just lock opponents in and then slowly chip away at their HP. Has access to Stealth Rock, Will-O-Wisp, and Strength Sap to really just weaken the opponent down. Its big problem though is that it's heavily blocked by Magic Bounce, Taunt, and Substitute. So other defensive Pokemon can easily overpower Corsola.
Yeah.
But then in terms of Cursula, it instead is a weak armor, 145 special attack, 130 special defense, master ghost type sweeper.
Oh yeah, because where it gets interesting, regarding Cursula in particular, is that you said this thing runs Shell Smash, right?
No, I did not say that at all.
Oh. Whoops. Was it weak armor?
Weak armor, yes.
Okay, so weak armor, that makes sense. It is painfully slow, but unlike Magcargo, it's got the stats to back it up because, yeah, it isn't the fastest thing in the field by any stretch. But 145 special attack? Are you kidding me?
The thing is it only has up between two abilities. Perish Body, which making contact with this Pokemon starts the Parasong effect for it and the attacker, which basically means if it ever gets hit with a contact move, Cursula itself dies.
Yep.
So nobody's gonna run Perish Body in that instance. Weak Armor is basically its only actual thing, but also it only has 50 defense, so even if it gets hit with a physical attack, it's not like that physical attack was going to be doing more damage really if its defense got lowered by one stage. So it's only getting upside from that weak armor.
Or by such a factor that it is not that relevant. And then Ghost type coverage, just Ghost type on its own, it doesn't hit a lot for super effective, but it only has one resistance and one immunity, and it hits everything else for at least neutral damage. That's not
Ghost
bad.
is a really good, both offensive and defensive typing.
Yeah, because one of the key things, one of the great things about with Cursula is that, okay, you're hitting stuff neutrally. With 145 special attack, that's almost Mewtwo's special attack, for Christ's sakes.
Its big weakness towards that 145 is that speed, which is the same thing we were going for with Mad Cannon. It's just, when you have that much attack, but also that low of a speed, it balances shit out.
And, God, I know it didn't end up working out that well in doubles for this, but oh my God, imagine this thing on a Trick Room team. And what are its attacking moves? Hex,
One actually a decent variety. It has two separate builds. It has a weak armor breaker set, which uses Power Herb, and runs Shadow Ball, Meteor Beam, Burning Jealousy, and Endure.
Wow, wait, so that's Ghost, Rock, and Fire type coverage, right?
Ghost, Rock, Fire, yep. And Power Herb allowing for it to use Meteor Beam in one turn, which is, like, okay, so for those who don't know, because this is a very weird move that I've never heard of before, Meteor Beam has 90% accuracy, 120 base power, and raises the user's special attack by 1 on turn 1, and then hits on turn 2. This thing just raises its special attack, and then hits you with 120 base power blast.
Keeping in mind, too, this is basically Rock-type Solar Beam, but can't be affected by the weather. And it
also raises special attack by 1.
Off of a Pokemon that, once again, already has 145 special attack.
Yeah. Thankfully, it does not get stab off of this.
Yeah, no.
So, imagine if Meteor Beam was given to normal Cursula.
To, like, normal Corsola? That would help, at least a little.
I mean, normal Corsola has 65 special attack, but still 120 base power and getting that stat boost and having stab.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's not going to match Cursula, but at the very least, it's not going to mind it.
Yeah, though Cursula is still in PU, so I don't think Corsola is going to get anywhere close to this.
Yeah, no. And I think the reason why it's in PU is just because it's so damn slow and so damn brittle.
It dies to any physical. So I know Pursuit is no longer in the game, but if Pursuit ever came back, Cursula is just dead. There's no way Cursula could ever survive that ever.
Yeah, Pursuit comes back and this thing's fucking untiered, which is rather unfortunate.
It actually is listed as untiered on Smogon. It just has a PU moveset.
Oh god, if they ever make an ability that lets something activate Trick Room on switching, Cursula's gonna get way better.
Yeah, that's one of those things where they're never going to do because they've made way too many super slow Pokemon that are just, like, made to work with Trick Room that, like, we can't ever make this viable. Like, we've seen what happens when we gave Drizzle to Pokemon.
Yeah. Although,
the other moveset it has is Shadow Ball, Ice Beam, Hydro Pump, and Burning Jealousy. It's just the same move, basically, but so it gets basically a more choice specs version that has a lot of coverage moves with Ice Beam and Hydro Pump instead.
Oh yeah, and that set hits 63% of all Pokemon for super effective damage.
Yeah, so it has options for either a all-in Meteor Beam Power Herb attack thing to just burn through people, or it can Ice Beam, Hydro Pump, max coverage people.
Yeah.
So it has a lot of tools and utility at its disposal. It's just the definition of a glass cannon that dies to, like, any physical Dark-type move.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Oh, the reason why it's untiered. Knockoff exists.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what it is, sadly. And here's the thing. Very unfortunate. There are 3 ways that we could buff Cursula. I
have an idea for Cursula, actually, just now off the top of my head.
Yeah?
I know we got that Poltergeist move that hurts Pokemon if they hold an item.
Yep.
What if there was a Ghost-type version of Acrobatics?
Well, off to a good start. If the Pokemon itself doesn't have a held item, it's going to smash something.
Yeah, and so if its biggest weakness at the moment is knockoff, giving it a move that encourages you not to run an item makes that inherently a better thing. Because at the moment, if they don't run an item, they're basically playing at a disadvantage the entire time.
Yeah.
But if they are given a reason to not run an item from the get-go, such as a Ghost-type version of Acrobatics...
Well, you're off to a good start there. That's so I'm gonna put that in second place for probably the best thing that could happen to Cursula. The first thing that I think the thing that least benefits Cursula, but I think would still be helpful, is a physical assault vest item.
I think we brought up that before in the past as well. Physical Assault Vest would definitely be useful for a lot of different Pokemon.
Especially one it benefits more from having a physical assault vest than a special one, basically.
So, I mean, it has 130 special defense. It doesn't need an assault vest for that.
Exactly. Next, the other option, this one was kind of tied with giving it the ghost type acrobatics, is just giving it, just making Trick Room usable in singles, or, just Trick Room in general would be great for this Pokemon. And I think the most useful thing you could do for this Pokemon is to give it a way to absolutely crush Dark-type Pokemon.
So either a fighting or a bug-type move, neither of which fit Cursula at all.
Well, indeed not. Except this thing gets Leech Life.
It does, and that's a weird move option.
It's a technical record move, but I think.
Okay.
But again, if you gave this thing Focus Blast.
Focus Blast could be interesting. I can see because it's a ghost. They give Focus Blast to various other ghosts like Gengar and shit.
Or, because his problem is being outsped in Oko by Dark types, give it Vacuum Wave.
That is a flavor win, I think.
Indeed.
Because the death of Coral creates a vacuum in the ecosystem.
Yep. And then with Vacuum Wave, which by the way is the only special quick attack variant move, it also happens to be fighting type, which means it's special, coming off of 145 special attack, and it's priority. And it smashes Dark types.
I think that would genuinely be the biggest thing it needs.
Yeah,
Give it Vacuum Wave.
Give it Vacuum Wave, and all of a sudden Cursula is going to be seeing usage everywhere.
I think it would no longer be untiered and would be genuinely PU at that point.
Maybe even NU. I'm going to be honest with you.
That's possible. If you give... Okay, I think it would 100% be NU if you give it Vacuum Wave and the Physical Assault Vest.
Yep. Once you do that, bada bing, bada boom.
Next Pokemon.
Octillery.
Oh, I do think we talked about this in the pilot, but this is easily... We could talk about this again.
Well, we talked about it less and more Sniper.
Yes.
Because Sniper gives a damage...
Oh, yeah, we talked about it with the Seadra line, because it has Sniper.
Right, yeah. And if I recall correctly, Sniper gives it... increases the damage of its critical hits, but it doesn't have any critical hit-based Water-type moves for Stab. So one idea that we gave it specifically because of Seadra is to just give it Inteleon's signature move, Snipe Shot.
Exactly, which 100% should also be given to Octillery.
Yeah, because that's fitting. Its signature move, Octazooka, I think should also get a buff, strictly because it is only usable by Octillery, and I guess Horsey, and Sableye in Generation 5? What? Oh, via an event. That's why. That Pokemon
They also... Argonaut? What is Argonaut?
Argonaut?
Oh, it's a creative Pokemon thing.
Yeah. But with Octillery, with Octazooka in particular, 50% chance to lower accuracy by 1 stage, 65 base power, but 85% accurate. I say make it 90 or even 95% accurate, with the caveat that the chance goes down.
Wait, no, actually, I'm usually against you giving accuracy buffs to these moves. This thing has 65 base power. It should just be 100% accurate.
Even with the 50% chance to lower accuracy by 1 stage?
Yeah, it's a signature move. There's only 3 evolution lines that get this thing.
And they
actually, 3 evolution lines. There's only 3 evolution lines that get this move. Give this, make it 100 base power. None of these Pokemon are going to be broken with 100 base power being able to lower accuracy by 1 stage.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, Pokemon is all about withdrawing Pokemon all the time,
Yeah.
lowering accuracy by one stage is not going to be a kryptonite to any particular Pokemon unless the Pokemon is already running things like Focus Blast and other moves that have a low accuracy chance.
Exactly. And here's the thing too. All of the other Pokemon that can learn Octazooka either have to be bred to get it, or it's a level 1 move, or it's Octillery.
Exactly. It is Octillery's signature move still, and it is not going to be a bad thing to give this guy like that kind of a buff. This thing is a PU Pokemon that is just not doing much at all.
Exactly. Like give this thing an accuracy boost to Octazooka for a start. Give it Snipe Shot.
Sniper water thing.
Give it Snipe Shot, and I would actually finagle with its stats a little bit. I would drop 20 from its physical attack and make that 20 into its HP. Because Octopi are pretty squishy.
Okay. Yeah, I can absolutely go with... Octopi are, the definition kind of basically just health sponges, because they're just all muscle. They don't have any bones. They're just all muscle.
Yeah, and I understand why Octillery has 105 attack. It's an octopus, and Octopi are deceptively strong. Bearing in mind, dropping it down to 85 is not going to hurt its feelings, because it's already using special attack for a start. Then its buffed HP is definitely going to help. And here's the kicker. We already have a physical octopus Pokemon now in Grapploct. So...
yeah. It doesn't need to be serving that niche, and it was never serving that niche to begin with.
Exactly. What is Grappaloc's physical attack stat? 118. Okay, we're fine. Now we come to a very conflicting Pokemon. Delibird.
Delibird. Okay, yeah, I understand why you're conflicted on it, because this is one of those Pokemon like, should this even have the right to be good? It's a joke Pokemon.
Exactly. But, like, you know what? Here's something I think Delibird at least deserves. Delibird at least deserves an actually interesting hidden ability. Because its first two abilities, its primary two abilities are Vital Spirit and Hustle. Hustle buffs its attack, loses accuracy, whatever. Vital Spirit prevents it from falling asleep. And also has an outside of battle event, which... what was it?
I have an idea for an ability.
Go on ahead.
Secret Gift, because I can't literally call it Secret Santa.
Yeah.
All moves that have a % chance to do something, if they don't do their % chance, will instead heal Delibird by like I don't know % chance of healing, but like any move that has a % chance of doing something, if it doesn't do it, it will heal Delibird a little.
There we go. Like there, that's perfect. Because
it's exchange, because his whole signature move has the 50% chance to heal the opponent. So now the opponent has a % chance to heal Delibird.
Yep. And let's not forget too. Let's not forget this as well. Its hidden ability, and that can easily replace its absolutely pointless hidden ability, Insomnia.
Why does this have Insomnia?
Because apparently having one ability that prevents sleep wasn't enough. They had to give Delibird a second ability that does the exact same thing!
Didn't we give a buff to Vital Spirit, I think, at some point?
No, no, Game Freak did. It has an outside battle effect.
Oh, I see.
Insomnia doesn't.
I see, okay.
So, yeah, like, it's a joke Pokemon. If we were to be serious about buffing this thing, we could talk about how to buff this thing all day, but we're not going to be serious about it.
It's a joke Pokemon, it doesn't. The only joke it should get is just give it the Secret Santa or Secret Gift ability, so that if an attack has a % chance to deal damage, a % chance to do anything, and it doesn't do that % chance, this move now heals the Pokemon by, I don't know, like 30%.
Or, you know what? You know what would be even funnier? We call it Gift Exchange, and any move that hits Delibird will cause held items to be swapped.
That seems a little too chaos-driven. Like, I can actually see I can see trolls using that move in competitive things and, like, getting weird rewards out of that. That seems a little nasty.
To be fair, I mean, yeah, I fully understand, and I do like the Secret Santa ability more. I just thought of it off the top of my head because Gift Exchange was a great idea for an ability. Plus, it's Delibird.
Call it Gift Exchange.
Huh? We
can just call the healing thing Gift Exchange instead.
Okay, that works for me. Let's move on now before we have to talk about Delibird anymore. Mantine! Or Mantine. Both pronunciations are correct.
Yes, okay, here is... I don't know how to make this... okay, one thing I think that 100% should happen is Mantine should get an evolution where the evolution has an octillery glued to it underneath.
Or above it, or wherever. Just give it an octillery, because in the official art, it's got a goddamn Remoraid attached to it.
Mantine has a Remoraid, and then if Mantine evolves, the evolution that Mantine has should have a octillery on it. Like, we know there's not actually a Remoraid on it, though I love in the manga for Gen 2 with Mantine, they have Mantine with like a dozen Remoraids pointing downward, firing water guns outward as like a jet plane. It's a brilliant idea.
I see the image, and the main character for the anime is attached. It has two of the Remoraids are biting onto a stick that while sticking to the Mantine, allowing Gold, I guess, to be flown by a Mantine that is firing like over a dozen water guns from the Remoraids at an opponent off panel.
I don't know if you're showing this to the audience, so I'm just gonna post it in here as well. It is a glorious image. It is like this would make your grandfather in World War II proud.
This is a different panel. So this is a different panel. So I'm gonna switch it over to the chat. Yeah, that's a different panel from what I was showing. But, yeah, I'm here for that. Anyways, you know what? I actually kind of like this idea of a Pokemon that is evolving and fusing and whatnot. Because here's the thing. We have not one, but two different groups of Pokemon that can be fused now. And both of them are legendaries.
Which ones are you talking about?
Kyurem, Reshiram, and Zekrom, that group, and
yes,
and Calyrex plus the Steeds.
I think it would be interesting. Okay, no, actually, one thing that could be interesting, going back to Octillery, a trade evolution between the two of them, where like if you trade Mantine and Octillery across from one another, they get an evolution each.
Yeah.
That could be interesting. I don't know what that would be. I think, no, we should save that for a video. Save that for a separate video.
The trade evolution idea?
Yeah, but that's going to require a whole lot of extra brain power and work between the two of us to figure that out. I think we should save that for a different video.
Exactly. But now let's focus on the fusion angle, because I think the fusion angle would be great for Mantine for a couple of different reasons. For a start, we're going to be following the Calyrex and Steed route, where Calyrex itself is actually the weakest legendary Pokemon that I'm aware of, besides, like, Fione, with a base stat total of 500. And the Steeds have a base stat total of 580. You put them together, their base stat total, I believe, shoots up to either 680 or 700. Something insane. And they get two abilities. They get Calyrex's Unnerve, and they get the Steed's respective Neigh ability, which acts like a physical or special version of Moxie, depending on which horse it is. So, we can apply that to a lesser degree to Mantine and Octillery. Or, Mantine and Remoraid specifically. What if there's a way to get Remoraid and Octillery, or Remoraid and Mantine to come together, fuse together, in quotes, and that gives Mantine a big stat boost into its special attack.
Here's my idea for this, and this is me working as like a game designer type thing.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of games a lot of different Pokemon games where they have like a secret base. They'll give like Poke dolls that you can, like, lay around and scatter along your base.
Yeah.
And then these dolls can sort of just sit in your inventory otherwise.
Yeah, the Poke dolls themselves also act as free runaway items.
Mm-hmm. What if there was just incidentally a Remoraid Poke doll that if you then hold the item onto Mantine, it's a secret, like, unlockable thing, where if you give this random Poke doll, which is intended to just otherwise, it looks like every other Poke doll, which is just intended to be either a runaway item or a decoration item for your secret base, but if you give it as a held item to Mantine, it suddenly changes form into Assault Mantine.
Which, that's a great name for it. Well, that's a great name for it. Mantine Assault form. Which would act kind of like a Mega Evolution without it being a Mega Evolution. I can picture this thing having 130 special attack and 120 speed for a total, like, the total buff would be about 50 in both those stats to make it a total of 585. And this thing has ludicrous special bulk already, 140 special defense.
Yeah, it was intended to basically be the original, like, water wall, in a way.
Yeah, except it has a 4 times weakness to electric types, but that's besides the point.
I would also give it, a new ability. I don't think it should get Sniper, just because it's not actually aiming with the Remoraids. It's using them as, like, rockets and, like, a mass machine gun type thing. It doesn't actually, like, it can't aim with its wings, so I don't think it should be sniping anybody.
What if it gets
But it should have a new ability to represent this sort of weird combination of some kind.
What if it gets Skill Link?
Ooh.
Because it gets access to Bullet Seed as a move.
I like that.
And then all it would need now is a water-type rapid hitting move. We'll just call it Bubble Barrage.
Well, there already is a water-type rapid move. It's that Water Shuriken move.
Well, but that's a signature move. But if we make one that is widely available, it loses the priority, but is more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Bubble Barrage could work. My only concern is
I would go with, instead of just making it a barrage move, I would be a bit more special. I would make it a double hitting water move.
Okay.
Instead of just being a multi-attacking move, like, this would be the double slap of water moves.
Except Double Slap can hit up to 5 times.
Oh, okay.
Dual
I'm
Wing
trying to
Beat.
remember. There are double hitting moves. I'm just trying to remember what some...
Dual Wing Beat.
Dual Wing Beat, thank you. Okay, it'll be the Dual Wing Beat of water-type moves.
Or even Triple Axle if you want to give it 3. Water.
Possibly, yes.
Aqua Bombs, where it drops 3 bombs as it flies overhead. Boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would have Bullet Seed for coverage, with Skill Link allowing it to hit the maximum amount of times. What would be a good special flying... Oh, it gets access to Air Slash and Legends Arc. Yes, there we go. That works.
Yeah, Air Slash is fine. It also gets access to Defog and Roost. It already has, like, a decent move pool in terms of
Holy
defensive
crap, this
utility.
thing has access to Hurricane!
Access to what?
Hurricane!
Oh god! Hurricane!
Put this thing on a rain team. That's all you need to do.
And they're just...
Oh my god, imagine... Okay, because right now in doubles, one of the most popular Pokemon still in the doubles formats that let you use legendary Pokemon is still Kyogre.
Oh god, yeah.
So there's going to be rain. So that means 100%...
And this thing has Uber's level stats that you've given it.
Uh-huh. But here's where it gets crazy. Or crazier, I suppose. Because it has never missed hurricanes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it has Bullet Seed with Skill Link, which means this is a Kyogre counter.
Oh my god, it is.
So that gives it an incredible niche. Mantine Assault gets an incredible niche just by getting a buff to its special attack and speed and skill.
Also, its insane special defense already means that if Kyogre does try to, like, use Water Spout against it, it actually has Water Absorb! So if you're worried about, like, it has Swift Swim as well!
So you know what's really cool then? That gives you mind games. Because people are going to be terrified. Oh shit, they're terrified of Mantine Assault. So they'll be bringing things but then you bring in a regular Mantine out of left field?
Okay, so what I would do is it already gets to keep Swift Swim and Water Absorb, but if it has the water availability, the water availability will swap to Skill Link.
That works for me. As a hidden ability for Mantine Assault.
Yes, as like a super hidden ability in this way.
Mm-hmm.
I love this idea. I love this. This is like one of the more fun. This is something that like lore fans of Pokemon would be obsessed with getting.
Oh, absolutely. And competitive people will love it too because it is a ridiculously powerful water flying attacker. And water flying in terms of coverage is incredible. 40% of all Pokemon are hit for super effective damage, and nothing resists that combination. It hits fighting, ground, rock, bug, fire, and grass types for super effective damage.
I think this would also actually be the first good special attacking water flying, because we've had Gyarados. Gyarados has always been really good, but that's always been on the physical end. Have we had I guess we've had Pelipper, but Pelipper was never actually like a sweeper.
No, Pelipper was strictly support.
Yeah, so I don't think we've ever had a special attacking water flying sweeper before.
Especially one that has access to grass-type coverage, which only adds water-type super effectiveness to the thing, but that takes it from just shy of 40% to over 50% of all Pokemon for super effective damage. Over 122 new Pokemon to hit for super effective damage just because of water-type coverage, or something to cover for water types. And
yes, we've solved the Mantine problem.
Yes, we have. Oh, but before we go, one last thing to consider. This thing has Roost.
Yep.
So a great moveset for this for Mantine Assault would be Aqua Barrage.
I see it having either Roost or Defog combined with Hurricane, Bullet Seed, and I mean, does it have a good water move?
Well, it has Hydro Pump.
Okay, Hydro Pump. All right.
And we were also talking about giving it the Aquatic Bomb move exclusive to...
Right, the Aquatic Bomb move, yeah, that new move, giving it Aquatic Bomb, Bullet Seed, Hurricane, and either Roost or Defog, if you're worried about, like, status effects, or if you're worried about, like, just longevity, or if you're worried about, like, giving the entry hazard removal.
And then you also... also Defog lowers accuracy, or lowers evasion as well, so it makes Hydro Pump more accurate. But here's where it gets really cool as well, because... we have two separate sets, actually.
Yeah, because, like, if it's running the Swift Swim run, it's not going to be running Bullet Seed, so it's probably going to be running, like, Roost and Defog more regularly, as opposed to, like, if you're running the Skill Link one, you're going to be all in on the Water Bombs and Bullet Seeds.
I was about to say, well, hold on a minute, I forgot. Bullet Seed is actually a physical move, which is not ideal, but it does give us an equivalent in Seed Bomb.
Yeah, 100%. Like, if we're already going for, like, the Bombardier-style play style, like, of water bombs being dropped in, Seed Bomb is 100% it should get.
Well, it already has Seed Bomb from a technical record move.
Wait, why does it have all of this stuff that already exists for it? That's such a weird thing.
I don't know, but it has its options, and...
Can you stop for a second recording? I have to go to the bathroom.
Okay, no worries. We will move on to the next Pokemon, which needs no introduction when we get back. Because that's a thing I can do. Alright. Do we dare talk about Skarmory?
There is no need to talk about Skarmory. It is still a god to this day. It has only been outclassed thanks to a new steel flying type that was literally made just to upstage Skarmory.
Yep. Skarmory is more than fine. It's only in UU because of fucking Corviknight. Let's move on to Houndoom.
Houndoom. I am a huge fan of Houndoom. When I was a kid, I grabbed one random Pokemon magazine, and as on it was randomly an article about Houndoom and its influences as the Hound of Baskerville.
Oh, the evil dark hound from the UK?
Kind of, yeah. It was actually popularized thanks to a Sherlock Holmes book.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Alright, let's talk Houndoom for a second. 110 special attack, 80 special defense, 90 physical attack, and 95 speed. It's got fairly solid stats all around. And its typing in Fire and Dark is not only really cool, but gives it a fantastic advantage over other Dark types. Stab, it is
It has
neutral.
stab against bug types.
Not just that, it's neutral, not weak to fairy types.
Oh,
Because fire resists fairy.
nice.
So,
I don't forget that it's weird that dark types are weak to fairy.
well, light magic versus dark magic, that's a whole other thing. But,
I feel like in that case, light and dark should be neutral to each other because light and dark should be equal to one another. But at the same time, we've got like weird, like fire and ice don't neutrally deal with each other. It's a weird thing.
yeah, exactly. Its weaknesses are to relatively common types, though, fighting, ground, water, and rock, but none of them are 4 times weaknesses. So this thing, and this thing got a fairly respectable Mega, which looks really cool, and the Mega had solar power to power its really strong 140 special attack.
It does not exactly have any good abilities besides that.
Yeah, well, okay, well, hold on.
Okay, it has Flash Fire. Flash Fire at least gives it an immunity.
Yeah.
But like...
Yeah, and also buffs the power of its fire-type moves on switching. Well, if it gets hit with a fire-type move. That's great. But Early Bird, we do not like, and Unnerve is okay, but it's really dependent on how strong berries are in a meta.
It's like... Okay, actually, let me look at Houndour. Because it has Unnerve, and berries are actually used a lot in Little Cup.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, like, if it works on berry juice as well, that's probably not a terrible thing to throw in against an Onyx, despite its weakness.
One of Little Cup's premier wall breakers in Sun and Moon format, resisted only by the frail Carvanha and the largely unviable Dino. As a result, only a handful of Pokemon are able to switch into Houndour, while and even less can manage to more than once. Has Stab, Sucker Punch. Yeah, so it is seeing decent play, though it doesn't mention the Unnerve synergy in that format. I don't know if Berry Juice has any use. That's actually a weird thing. Let me look up Unnerve itself.
Does Unnerve affect Berry Juice? That's a very important question. Let's see.
Yeah, it's not saying on Smogon.
It does not prevent opposing Pokemon from eating held berries when the move Tea Time is used. It eats... preventing from eating their own held berries. It doesn't say on Bulbapedia either directly if it affects berry juice.
Then let's look up berry juice itself.
Like, is berry juice affected by Unnerve? That's probably how you would look into it.
Yeah. Berry juice, Unnerve, Pokemon. Does Unnerve prevent berry juice? Berry juice is not a berry and therefore can be soon regardless.
Oh, that's dumb. That should...
Yeah, I think that's absolutely a little buff that should exist for Unnerve. It should stop berry juice as well.
Indeed. And
I know it's juice and not berries and but like, it should stop you from... Honestly, actually, no. Here's the thing I think for Unnerve. It should be buffed to stop any consumable item from being used.
that works. I like that. And that would be a really nice direct buff to any unnerved Pokemon.
No one uses Unnerve in any situation, but being able to stop things like weakness policy even, because that's a consumable held item.
And focus sash, that's another big one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Like, being able to stop any consumable held item from being used, that would be, like, because no one uses Unnerve.
Yeah, well, unless you're running doubles in the berry heavy format. Again, Unnerve is only as good as the berries are.
Mm-hmm. But even then, I feel like Flash Fire is more useful overall.
Exactly. And in Generation 3, Flash Fire Houndoom is the only thing that is not O-code by Wallbreaker Charizard. Because Wallbreaker Charizard had Solar Power, had Blaze, one of the berries, Substitute, and Fire Blast. And the power of that move on a Sunny Day team, which it would set up its own Sunny Day, was so potent that the only thing that is taking less than 80%, even on a resistant Pokemon, is Houndoom's Flash Fire. That was it. Anything else that was staring down this particular Charizard in OU high risk, high reward type thing was getting incinerated. So
I can't really look at what okay, so there was a non-Houndoomite version of Houndoom seen play in Sun and Moon. It was in Aryu, which is actually respectable, even in Sun and Moon.
That's surprisingly high, especially considering like Houndoom is one of those Pokemon that really likes having its Mega.
Yeah, it was using Dark EMZ, Nasty Plot, Dark Pulse, Fire Blast, and Taunt, which is a decent move pool set.
Yep.
Houndoom's typing gives it a powerful secondary Dark Stab, that move that much of the tier struggles against, lets it counter Pokemon like Ninetales, Necrozma, and Sigilyph, in conjunction with its ability, helps it act as an offensive check to a plethora of Psychic, Ghost, Fire types, and gives it good matchup against priority users like Toxicroak and Abomasmoke. Has a great speed tier, outpacing threats like Roserade, Toxicroak, and Gardevoir. A decent support move pool, like Taunt, lets it obliterate stall teams, shutting down staples such as Pyukumuku and Cresselia. However, its Houndoom's bulk, particularly physically, leaves much to be desired and limits setup opportunities. A glaring weakness to every entry hazard in the game, especially Stealth Rock, further limits its ability to set up and makes it difficult to check Ghost, Psychic, and Fire types. Dark Pulse's low base power leaves it very reliant on its Z move, which it no longer has access to, against water types such as Milotic, meaning it'll be helpless against them if another Pokemon can successfully lure out its Z move. So its big thing at the moment is its only really good Dark type move is Dark Pulse.
Indeed.
So is there a better Dark move to give it?
Well, first, before we get too carried away, I think we can partially solve its coverage problem on a sunny day team because it has access to Solar Beam, and it's always had access to Solar Beam.
But it no longer has access to Solar Power.
No, but it still would be, but it's still really strong on a sunny day team, especially if you use it to switch in on a Fire type move. But that's neither here nor there. Actually, how good is the Grass type coverage for it? Wow, it is incredible. But we'll talk about that later. In terms of Dark type attacks, let's check the Dark type itself. Go to moves and set it by power. Let's see. The strongest special type Dark type move in the game is actually only 90 base power, and it is Galarian Moltres' signature Fiery Wrath. Second place is Night Days, which is Zoroark's signature move, 85% power and 95% accurate. And third place, the bronze medal winner for a special type non-Z Dark type move is a tie between Batty Bad and Dark Pulse.
And no one's getting Batty Bad anymore because that was a Pokemon Go exclusive move.
Yeah, and first off, Batty Bad is 95% accurate, and its special effect is that it throws up Reflect.
I mean, okay, that's actually a really good move.
It's just, I don't want to give Houndoom Batty Bad because it's such a move. But
okay, if that move ever just got a name change, that would be a really good Dark type move to get into the game.
Exactly, and then just give it to Houndoom, and then you're off to a good start. Because it also patches up its physical defense problem.
I got a name. No, this wouldn't work because that's the name I'm thinking. I was thinking of calling it like Hell's Gate or something, but like that wouldn't work. One, because you're not allowed to reference Hell in Pokemon, but also Hell's Gate sounds like more like a status move rather than an offensive attack move that has a status effect.
Okay, no, that name is too badass for it to be just for an 80 base power move that with this effect. But you know what it could be? Shadow we could call it I keep wanting to call it Shadow Armor because of its effect, but that's not.
But that also sounds like anything that's the thing is Reflect is a status move, so any move that sounds like it's gonna create Reflect is gonna end up sounding like a status move.
Shadow Forge.
Ooh.
It attacks with dark energies. These dark energies then protect the Pokemon from the Pokemon and its team from physical damage for the next 5 turns, in the same way as Reflect.
And that is a great signature move to give to Houndoom.
Indeed. because it's all about dark energies and stuff.
And that sort of fits Houndoom's vibe. It's not a full-on attacker, but rather it's a mid-range support offense Pokemon that has really good offensive stats, but also really good support moves, so it can sort of fit this role of wall breaker and setup defender.
Yeah, it's literally its niche is a support Pokemon that has some serious bite.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And that would be like the perfect peanut butter and jelly to give it.
You know what? Too, I gave this thought for a new ability. We're gonna get rid of Early Bird in its entirety. Get rid of it. Gone.
No Pokemon should have Early Bird. No, there is literally no reason to ever use Early Bird ever.
Indeed not. But let me tell you about some of its entries and see if you notice a theme. This one is coming from the Gold Pokedex entry right at the beginning. If you are burned by the flames it shoots from its mouth, the pain will never go away. How terrifying is that? Now imagine if it got an ability. Called Shadow Suffering or something like that. An ability that replaces Early Bird that gives all Dark-type moves a 20% chance to burn the target.
I like that a lot. I was worried a bit because, the way it sounds like it should be, if it hits you with a physical attack, it has, a 30% chance to burn you, but then, this is a special attacking Pokemon, so it doesn't want to be doing physical attacks.
No, I mean, the name is very much in progress, but the idea is that all Dark-type moves get a 20% chance to burn alongside their effects. So, Dark Pulse has a chance
literally referencing the Hound of Baskerville. The legend of the Hound of Baskerville was that it's a hound that if you ever see it, it foretells that you will die in that same spot that you saw it 1 year later. And legends say that it attacked a church once, and the burns that the fire left were still there 100 years later.
Yeah. So, giving it that ability to burn opponents with any dark-type attack is great.
And 20% chance is not bad, but it's not really that. It's not oppressively good at all. And I could easily see people still wanting to run Flash Fire. But if you're on this more offensive set, and maybe you're not worried about fire type attacks on your team, you could easily ditch out Flash Fire for this for the off chance that you do get that burn. For the same reason people run, Scald on their teams, for the off chance that you might burn the opponent.
Scorching Sands as the ground type option. And then, with this Shadow Burn ability, which we really need to come up with a better name for it, imagine that combined with Shadow Forge, which, remember, buffs the team's physical defense, and if it burns, that Pokemon's doing half physical damage.
I was just thinking that too, yeah, being able to increase your defense by 1 and lower the opponent's offense by 1, and that is just, and also still dealing chip damage. This is the literal definition of Houndoom's specific niche that it's supposed to be having. I love this. Okay, let's go to the next Pokemon before we gush way too much about this idea.
It's evil and we love it. We already talked about this particular Pokemon, Kingdra, so let us move on to Donphan.
Oh, Donphan. I love Donphan, and I cannot spell it for some reason. How do you spell Donphan?
Donphan. I really like Donphan.
Elephant. It's elephant, Donphan, yeah.
I like Donphan, but I like its pre-evolution Phanpy more. But, it's Phanpy. It's stupid adorable. How can you not?
I already know the immediate first change I want to do with this thing.
Which is?
Give it Sand Rush as an ability.
Oh, that's brilliant for Donphan. What is its speed, actually? 50 base speed?
It has 50 speed. The thing is, it already has Sand Veil, which increases its evasiveness and speed in there. But the thing is literally this is the thing I always hated about Donphan's design versus its stats. You remember that short in Pokemon, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3, where they go to that big garden and one of the Pokemon was a Donphan?
Yeah.
And it's racing around at high speed as a fucking tire driving all around the place. The thing was wickedly fast, unstoppable. And then you look at its stats in the game, and it has a speed of 50.
Okay, and here's the other thing too. Here's the other thing that really bothers me about Donphan. Like relating to that, I haven't seen that short, but relating to that, in Pokemon Stadium 2, one of the mini games is a Donphan racing game. Anyway, so the nice thing is that Rapid Spin gives it a niche that I wanted. A move that attacks and boosts its speed every turn, and it has Rapid Spin. So we're off to a good start there. What tier is it in right now, actually?
In Sword and Shield, it is in BDSP OU, but that seems to be what everything is in. BDSP doesn't really seem to have that much of a meta.
Yeah, it's still developing.
Sun and Moon, it was in RU.
That's not bad. I mean,
the thing is, it has really good physical defenses, having 120 defense, and Ground is a really good defensive typing, as well as an offensive typing. It's a really good balanced type, and it has pure Ground. Mostly they run Sturdy and Leftovers. They don't even bother with the Sand Veil, because that's the thing. Everyone freaks out about evasionness boosts. No one really cares about evasion on a competitive level, because it's never, like, you're just leaving things up to chance more.
Right. And nobody likes leaving things up to chance. But,
no.
Considering that
Donphan is unique that it has access to Rapid Spin to clear away entry hazards, and Ice Shard as a priority move to pick off threats like Zygarde 10%, Roserade, and Noivern. Despite these solid traits, Donphan's biggest issue that is easily worn down with weak attacks and status conditions thanks to lack of reliable recovery. Okay. This is an elephant. It should learn Slack Off.
I like that. 2, I was wondering how the hell it learns Ice Shard, and it's an egg move from the Dugong line, the Mamoswine line, Weavile, and Glaceon.
I know exactly why it's able to breed with Dugongs and stuff. What? Those things, I'm pretty sure, are actually, like, evolutionarily tied to elephants.
You're talking about literal Dugongs and, like, manatees. Yeah. They are very closely related to elephants.
Yeah, so if you have this elephant over here and you have a Dugong over there, like, under the logic of Pokemon, the two of them should be able to breed, and they figured, let's give it Ice Shard as a breed move.
Yep, and I mean, Mamoswine is right there, too, so...
Yeah.
But that coverage is great, and it has great potential, but it's lacking reliable recovery, and giving it Slack Off is a great way to do that. But I think, this is just me personally, I think it should also get... It should also get a stronger but a stronger alternative to Rollout. Call it Rolling Stone. Maybe.
Okay, actually, no. I have a better idea.
Yeah.
Burnout.
Ooh. Okay.
This is a ground type. No, we already have the hot sand move, so we shouldn't burn. But no, it shouldn't burn because we already have a ground type move that does burn. Yeah, but I love that name now, Burnout, as a move.
Well, here's the thing. Well, 2 things. 1, I almost wonder if it should be a 2-turn move unless it has speed boosts or something. But if it doesn't, that's fine. But we could also give it the Flying Crest treatment. It's ground and fire type at the same time.
Ooh, possibly. Those usually are reserved for Pokemon that are, like, supposed to be 50-50 on their actual type split, though.
Well...
Like, the only one that has that option is Flying Split, which is a fighting, flying Pokemon that's supposed to be 50-50 on flying and fighting.
Yeah, that's true. I also just quickly double-checked. Thankfully, nothing is immune to either of those types or resists that typing, so that Ground Fire Burnout move would actually not be terrible.
No, but, I love the name, because the thing is, it's a fucking race car tire, and I love the idea of giving it a move called Burnout, but I can't... Maybe just make it a fire-type move?
Maybe, or... Wait! I got it! This is... Okay, Burnout. It's a, let's say, 60 base power ground-type move. That is 100% accurate. On its own, doesn't seem that remarkable. Until you make the mistake to burn.
Ooh.
Donphan. Burning Donphan now doubles its attack power to 120 base power and ignores the attack drop from Burn. That one.
You gave it a ground type Endeavor.
Pretty much, or not Endeavor, Facade.
Facade, yeah, a ground type Facade that only works on burn.
Yep.
But I assume the base power is stronger than Facade?
No, it's actually slightly weaker because Facade is 70 base power, whereas Burnout right now is at 60.
I would make this then be 75, or maybe even 80, because if this only works on being burned, as opposed to Facade, which works on any stat, it should be slightly stronger on base level.
That works, and I mean, thematically it makes sense, too.
Yes.
So there we go. There's our solution to the Burnout problem.
Okay.
And that covers Donphan, effectively.
Yeah. It's a decent already existing Pokemon. Give it Slack Off for some recovery and this cool new Burnout move we gave it.
Yep. We can ignore
Porygon. Oh, also the Sand Rush ability as well. 100% Donphan should get Sand Rush.
Absolutely. We can completely ignore Porygon 2 and move on to Stantler and Weirdeer.
Alright, yes. One actual second. You can talk about the stat moves and everything like that. I'm going to go check the up and I put something in there for a second.
Cool. So, Stantler on its own is a Pokemon that is weird. And we're going to talk a little bit about Weirdeer a little bit later on. But Stantler is a pure normal type. And it has a lot of psychic influences. So, one of those Pokemon that theoretically could have benefited from being just a normal psychic type. Its stats were okay, but nothing to write home about. It was very annoying to catch in the game, though, because of Stomp, Flinches, and Hypnosis. And its abilities are actually fairly solid. A Grass-type immunity and Sap Sepper that buffs its attack, and the really strong Intimidate ability. It had the potential to be at least decent, but being a pure normal type with now some relatively decent moves, it had some problems. And as Honey will mention later on, this Pokemon was not great overall. That, I think, will change when Weirdeer is released. First off, Weirdeer has 60 base stats on over Stantler. It has a base stat total of 525. It has 103 base HP, which is 30 points higher than Stantler. A 10-point boost to attack from 95 to 105. Defense doesn't change. And a 20-point stat boost to special attack. And everything else stays the same, except it actually loses 20 points in speed. So it's slightly slower, but it's overall more powerful in attack and much stronger in the HP department. 103 HP is nothing to sneeze at. It's also a normal Psychic-type Pokemon now, which gives it a weakness to Dark and a resistance to Psychic. And it is immune to Ghost, which is interesting because one of the biggest weaknesses Psychic types have now is Ghost types. So you're trading a weakness to... So you have a resistance to Psychic, and you have two weaknesses. One to Bug, which is basically irrelevant still, and to Dark, which is not a terribly common attacking type. Like, there are strong Dark-type attackers out there, but it's not like Fairy-type, where Fairy-type as a type is just ridiculous. And then you have Ghost. It is immune to Ghost, which normally hits everything for neutral-type damage. It's losing a weakness for an immunity, which is great. Then, we have to talk about its signature move, Psyshield Bash, which inflicts damage and raises the user's defense and special defense by 1 stage. It is 70 base power, 90% accurate, and it is a physical Psychic-type move. It is fantastic. It is a great move overall. Psychic physical moves are not that common, and with an attack stat of 105 with a Choice Band, that's gonna hurt a lot. And because it is a Legends Arceus exclusive Pokemon, it doesn't have a particularly broad moveset. But what it does have is a surprisingly decent amount of coverage options. Shadow Ball, Energy Ball, Charge Beam, Iron Tail, High Horsepower, Mega Horn.
This is actually because Stantler itself has a ridiculously good move pool thing. Those are all things Stantler already has.
When did you get back?
Like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, okay, so you already heard me gushing about how Stantler has okay stats, but I'm not sure about how it is viability-wise, and Weirdeer has the potential to be scary. And you know what Psyshield Bash does. Yeah, so this thing has the potential to actually, like, once Weird Deer is released, I can see this thing doing pretty well.
And absolutely, Weird Deer is also another thing. Weird Deer is one of those Pokemon that absolutely feels like it could come out today. Like, forgot his name, the one for Scizor.
Cleavor.
Cleavor has a look to it that feels like it belongs in a non-canon game. I don't know what about it, but it's like it does not like its design has a few extra details that makes it feel like it's kind of needs a bit of a redesign if it's going to go into like the mainline game. But Weird Deer 100% looks like a Pokemon.
And I mean, it's a bearded deer. I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Weird Deer. I'm excited for this thing to come in.
And the thing is, even Stantler itself is not actually... Okay, it is untiered, but it has such an amazing combination of things. It has Intimidate and Sap Sipper, two of the best actual utility abilities around.
I mean, giving it a second immunity is not bad on a normal type, which defensively is actually not a terrible type.
Mm-hmm. And it has a really good move pool combo of Double Edge, Sucker Punch, Earthquake, Signal Beam, Energy Ball. It has a really good combination of things. The problem is just a lot of normal type Pokemon have really good move coverages, and it's kind of just outclassed by Stoutland and Kangaskhan in terms of just being a good normal type, that type of thing.
Stoutland, Kangaskhan, Tauros.
Giving it the psychic type thing and making it the Weird Deer is just like, it is the thing it needs to get that evolution. And actually, let's look at the possibility of Stantler moving into Little Cup if it gets that.
It has a base stat total of 465. What's the highest base stat total in Little Cup?
What was Scizor? Because Scizor was always the worrisome one.
You mean Scyther? 500.
Scyther, yes. Scyther.
Scyther was 500.
Okay, yeah, that was a really scary one. Onix actually has a pretty... Does Onix have a good base?
Well, it has 160 physical defense. I wouldn't be surprised if its base stat total was actually in the 400s somewhere.
Checking its stats, game data...
Base stat total.
Base stat total of 385. So this would actually be better than Onix.
Yeah.
But it's actually not that crazy in terms of individual stats.
Right. So it's... Hang on a second. Tangela is really, really high in the tier list. It's in RU, isn't it, or something?
Yes.
Tangela is unevolved. It has a base stat total of 435. I genuinely think Stantler might be too strong for Little Cup. It might end up in NFE though.
Yeah, it will absolutely be an NFE. And I think in NFE it'll do pretty well.
Yeah. Especially since it'll have access to Eviolite just to shore up its defenses.
Yeah, I mean, it has 65 and 62 defenses. That's not, like, bad, but, like...
It would...
Taking that 93 and 97, that's really good.
Yeah, or the equivalent thereof of bases or however that works. And with 73 HP, it's not terrible. Like, giving this thing Eviolite is not going to hurt it. So, Weird Deer overall will be a really good benefit for Stantler, both evolved and unevolved. But then we have to talk about fucking Smeargle. I love this Pokemon in terms of concept and design, except for the thing that where its tail brush doesn't actually change color unless it's shiny, whatever. Okay, fine.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. It should have, like, when they started doing weird Technicolor, like, different color variants, they should have done it where you can get different Smeargles of different colors.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, I think what they should do is just, depending on its mood or its, like, personality, that should be the color that it has on its brush.
Oh, so its color is dependent on its nature.
Yes. That would be a cool thing, but no, I hate Smeargle as a mechanical... Like, I like the gimmick, but the thing is, every time... This is the thing in every game, from RPGs to TCGs to any fucking game ever. If you allow for a Pokemon, for anything, to copy other card effects, that aren't actually out on the field, you are inherently allowing for the game to be broken.
Just ask Dark Void. This is a travesty for me. I really like Dark Void as a concept. This sinister move that puts both Pokemon to sleep. It had 80% accuracy for each Pokemon, so one could fall asleep and another could not. It actually has 90% accuracy now in Legends Arceus. That might be a little bit too high. But
okay, here's the thing I would actually change on Smeargle. I would actually code into the game and actually make a ruling for what actual moves count as signature moves, and Smeargle is not allowed to copy signature moves.
And this is where it gets interesting because they have partially done this before. In Generation 6, it knew Dark Void. It knew Dark Void at its peak. Was it? Yeah, Generation 6. It knew Dark Void at its peak, and it was horrifying because you have this because you couldn't use Darkrai, but you could use Smeargle, so you could use Dark Void. 80% accuracy on sleep from a Smeargle. It was hell. Absolute hell. But then, in Generation 7, they did the smart thing. They did the smart thing where they reduced it by 50% for each Pokemon. But they also, in that same generation, made it so that Dark Void can now only be successfully used by Darkrai.
But then they put their foot back into their mouth and made it so Smeargle could then copy the signature move of Zygarde, or the Y legendary, and copy its stat boosting move.
Oh no, you're thinking about Xerneas and Geomancy.
Yes.
Right. But here's the thing. Because now Dark Void has effectively been neutered now for no reason, personally, I would bring its accuracy back up to 80% with this change that Smeargle cannot learn Dark Void. You have to...
Yes, Darkrai itself was, like, a decent Pokemon, but it wasn't, like, oppressing the format back in Gen 6.
No, and even when it was one of the scariest things in the field, it was a fairly brittle Dark-type Pokemon that had its counters. But Smeargle ruined Dark Void for everybody, and very quickly could ruin, or has kind of ruined, Geomancy, because it could learn Geomancy and then Baton Pass Geomancy.
Yes, exactly.
So there's a couple of ways I think that we should do to fix Sketch. Number one, I like the idea, fix signature moves. Find move, or anything that's a signature move cannot be copied by Smeargle. Done. But the second option, which is an interesting one that I think would actually really help Smeargle in singles, do not let it be able to sketch Baton Pass.
Okay.
So that way, the best Baton Passer in the game is gone. Now Baton Pass can actually be used. Because here's the thing, Baton Pass has steadily been getting banned. It was first banned in Generation 6, then it was banned in Generation 5, then 4, then 3. They've been banning Baton Pass going back into the generations because of how busted Smeargle is with this move, because it was the thing behind Baton Pass teams that worked, because it could do Ingrain, Shell Smash, another move, and then Baton Pass, and then Baton Pass all of those to another Pokemon like Vaporeon, which could then then Baton Pass to something else. And then I'd also use Acid Armor, Baton Pass into this thing, and then all of a sudden you have a Tyranitar with +4, with ×4 to every stat, and bye-bye, there goes your game.
Yeah, Baton Pass is a great move. I love Baton Pass teams. It's a fun gimmick, it's a fun playstyle. But Smeargle breaks the entire mechanic. It just, there's no strategy anymore. You just use Smeargle.
Exactly. And here's the thing about Smeargle. Smeargle does also have its use. It will also have a use where Smeargle makes it's a great egg move passer honor because of that. And I think Sketch on its own is fine. It just needs those few caveats. Make it not able to learn Baton Pass, and sure as shit make it not able to learn moves like Geomancy, Dark Void, Precipice Blade. I mean, you're not going to put Precipice Blades on this Pokemon. It has a 20 in attack, for Christ's sakes. But, any of these true signature moves, make it not able to do that, and then you're fine. And like the funny thing is that it's hilarious because it's like Smeargle is such a broken Pokemon, but it has a base stat total that is half of Pokemon like Gyarados. It has a base stat total of 250.
It stands as a pinnacle of how powerful status moves can be when they're not if you give a Pokemon too many status moves in combination, you get Smeargle,
who can't do jack shit for attack, but for status, it will break you.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Hitmontop, the best Tyranitar counter of all time. And actually, because we're not going to talk about Hitmontop, I don't think, but really cool, because we talked about Hitmontop, there's a Hitmonchan in them, but talk about Tyrogue in Little Cup. How is he doing? I can't...
Tyrogue in Little Cup is not doing anything.
I just looked at his base stats and I realized the error in me bringing up Tyrogue in Little Cup, because his base stat total of 210. Whoops.
He's a literal baby Pokemon. The literal babies have never done anything in Little Cup really outside of Munchlax.
Right, so we can skip Smoochum, Elekid, and Magby and move on to Miltank.
I once and again need to educate people on how to deal with Miltank, because I have never had this problem with her, and I've always been very confused by everyone complaining about how powerful Whitney's Miltank is. Because there's an instant counter to Miltank on Route fucking 1!
Geodude.
Yes! If you just go up north and go into the next route up north, there's a small patch of grass where you can catch a Geodude. Geodude is rock type. It is also ground type. It easily resists rollout super easily. It can learn Rock Smash, so it'll just punch the Miltank a couple of times, reduce its defense, which also counters Defense Curl, and just power through the Miltank. You don't need to freak out if you're losing that hard to Miltank. Just grab a Geodude.
Or the trade Machop named Muscle that is in I think literally in the same city. Or from Generation 4 on, grab a Heracross.
Yeah.
Because
there are so many options to deal with a Miltank. Heck, actually, can you get Meryl yet that early in the game?
I don't know. Let me check real quick. Where is Meryl? Okay, there it is. You can find Meryl in Generation 2 in Mount Mortar.
Oh, okay, that's really far away.
Yeah, so Meryl does not really work. But again, we have counters for Miltank. You just it's one of those Pokemon. It is a difficulty spike, but if you either know it's coming or came in prepared with a Geodude, for instance, or Machop or Heracross, you're fine.
The big problem with Miltank is just the previous gym leader was Bugsy, which you do not need to try to defeat.
Yep.
Now, actually, if you're in Heart Gold Soul Silver, they actually gave Bugsy a really good strategy. But in the original Gold Silver games, he's a complete pushover you can easily walk through.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden you come to this Miltank that is, like, don't get me wrong, I understand why Miltank is such a frustrating Pokemon to take care of. First off, it's at level 20, and it has Stomp, Attract, Milk Drink, and Rollout, which is a pretty baller moveset for a Pokemon at that point in time. It also, in Generation 4, has Scrappy, meaning if you somehow got a Ghost type, that's not helping you. It also has Thick Fat, which gives
you can get Ghost types as early as the first Gym Leader's town.
That's right. So in Generation 2, you could use a Ghost type. In Generation 4, Scrappy puts a stop to that. Also, in Generation 4, Whitney's Miltank has a frickin' Lumberry, so you got to status it twice. And it is a 490 base stat total Pokemon before you have a fully evolved starter. So
as much as how bad Gen 2's individual Pokemon and designing for the individual Pokemon is in terms of making them competitive, Gen 2's gym leaders are actually surprisingly well designed in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, and like Miltank is that first really big difficulty spike that can be super frustrating, and I get that, but it's also not unbeatable. And hell, what tier is it in right now?
NU.
It's an NU, so it's doing okay. I mean, 105 physical defense, 95 HP, 100 speed. That is fucking blistering fast.
Yeah, it is the fastest Stealth Rock setter in NU. That's his big claim to fame as a support Pokemon, having access to Milk Drink as a signature healing move, and Stealth Rock, and then having access to Heal Bell as well, or Toxic, and then either your choice of Return or Body Slam. Oh, wait, I'm looking at Black and White. What the fuck am I doing over here, Black and White? It is in PU, sorry, in Sword and Shield.
Okay, so, and is it still considered okay?
Miltank's normal typing and solid bulk allows it to reliably switch in to the threatening ghost types in the tier, such as Frostlash, Gourgeist S, and Trevenant, depending on its ability. Thanks to a wide array of utility moves such as Stealth Rock, Heal Bell, Thunder Wave, and Milk Drink, it's able to provide important roll compression while having reliable recovery. Two great defensive abilities of Scrappy, Thick Fat, and Sap Sipper.
Yep.
And mixed bulk make Miltank easily customizable for specific teams' needs. It is still really good. However, it can be much too passive at times, relying on Toxic and Seismic Toss to maintain pressure, which can be sorely lacking against foes such as Kafagrigus and Totogamaru. It lacks many resistances, making it easy to overwhelm with attackers such as Gourgeist if lacking Sap Sipper, and Centiscorch if it lacks Thick Fat. So it has basically, depending on which playstyle you go, it has a completely different problem it needs to solve.
Right, and so it's strong, but not unbeatable.
Yeah.
So that's good for Miltank. Now, we come to an interesting part of the video where we can skip Blissey. We already talked about Blissey at length. And we have just the legendary beasts, Tyranitar, and the legendary Pokemon, and then we're done Johto.
Okay. If you're comfortable editing, because this video itself has only actually been going for about 2 hours.
Not even. Hour 45.
Okay, yeah, so if you're comfortable, keep going. We can keep going, because you said you did the editing on this one.
Yeah, we're literally so close. We might as well finish off Johto. So, let's start with the legendary beasts. Raikou, Entei, and Suicune. Starting with Raikou.
Raikou is never really... I do believe, actually, let's look at the original Gold Silver. What was Raikou saying? Because I think he was actually pretty good in this one.
Oh, back in Generation 2, he was one of the best Pokemon in the game. Because he was he was a super bulky electric type that had really strong... that had a really high physical attack stat of 115. This thing was basically better Zapdos. And it was a fantastic roar shifter. It would use roar to cycle opponents, and if an opponent came in that it could handle, it would go for thunder.
Nowadays, it is in RU and UU. UU seems to just be by like sheer percent chances. It doesn't actually seem to do much in the UU. In RU, it is a solid offensive pivot thanks to high speed, outrunning threats like Heracross and Tornadus, which is its main advantage over fellow electric types like Xurkitree and Toxicity. Heavy-duty boots make it difficult to wear down passively, letting it use Volt Switch with great freedom, and its useful coverage across Shadow Ball, Extrasensory, and Scald keeps many Pokemon from confidently switching into it, and can put that coverage to even greater use with its Calm Mind wall-breaking set. Its biggest problem is its glaring inability to hit Gastrodon and Flygon very hard, so it doesn't have any Ice-type coverage.
No, it doesn't. Weirdly, though, it learns Scald, which I think is actually kind of interesting. It doesn't know Scald, or it doesn't know any Ice or Grass-type moves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's its only major weakness, is that it cannot touch Gastrodon at all.
Yeah.
But
the best it can do is Toxic or try to burn Flygon with Scald. It can learn Scald, too.
Yep.
Yeah, so they hold off well early game. Its attacks are generally a bit weak, so it relies on teammates to actually break through bulky Pokemon like Registeel and Assault Vest Reuniclus.
Yep.
Yeah, its offensive pivot's moveset is Inner Focus. They give it Inner Focus as an ability. I guess it makes it immune to... okay, no, it can't be flinched and is immune to teleport, immune to intimidate. Okay, that's a decent ability.
Yeah, like being immune to flinch, that's not going to hurt my feelings.
No, so like you can't fake out it and you can't intimidate it. That's actually pretty good. I was thinking of other one, but so it has Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Scald, and Toxic. Yeah, if you're relying on Thunderbolt as your main electric like cleaving move, you're kind of having trouble.
Well, the trouble is that back in Generation 2, it used Thunder, but even back then, Thunder had 70% accuracy, and you do not want to rely on a 70% accurate move to be hitting things.
No. It does also have a Calm Mind moveset where it sometimes runs Leftovers, but also runs Heavy Duty Boots, and runs Calm Mind, Thunderbolt, and either Shadow Ball or Aura Sphere.
Right.
Does it even...
Calm Mind, Thunderbolt. It does get access to Aura Sphere, and it does get access to Shadow Ball.
Yes.
So
this is the... Yeah.
So what was the thing you were looking for?
I was curious. I was like, why isn't it running like Focus Blast instead of Aura Sphere?
Well, partially because I don't think it learns Focus Blast.
I didn't notice Aura Sphere actually has 80 base power, so it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, and it never misses.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it also doesn't have access to Focus Blast to begin with. So.
Mm-hmm. But is there actually a better electric move besides Thunderbolt?
I don't... Well, that's 100% accurate? I don't think so. Let me take a look. I'm not going to scroll through all the moves. I'm just going to hit it. I'm going to go to moves. Set it by power. Okay. Catastrophica has 210 base power. That's hilarious. Let's see. Bolt Strike, which is 130 base power and 85% accurate, and is usable only by an Event, Victini, and Zekrom. And it's also physical. We're looking at special moves. The strongest electric special move that isn't like a Z move is Zap Cannon, which is 50% accurate. Thunder is 70% accurate with 110 base power. Wild Bolt Storm. What is this? Wild Bolt Storm is... Oh, it is a new signature move in Legends Arceus for Thundurus. 95 power, 80% accurate, 30% chance to paralyze the opponent. Yeah, it really is. Thunderbolt is the strongest 100% accurate electric type move that isn't like a signature move or something.
I feel like all of the legendaries should have a signature move of some kind.
Thunder Saber for Raikou.
That is an interesting move. What would it do?
Well, it's a saber-toothed cat.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be like a really strong version of Thunderfang, and we'll make it a special type attack because why the hell not? Or we could take it the Cloud Cape idea and call it Thunderhead.
Huh. The thing is that if it's just like, okay, it has like a chance to paralyze, it's just Thunderbolt at that point?
Yeah. Or you know what you could do? We could call it Storm Cell, and it's on the surface it doesn't sound that much stronger. 90 base power, 90% accurate, but it has the effect of doing electric type damage over time for 4 turns, like G-Max Wildfire.
Ooh, I like that.
Like, it'll be 1/8 instead of 1/4, because I think it's 1/4 for G-Max Wildfire, because that's just stupid. But even 1/8 damage every turn to every opponent on the field for 4 turns, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Balancing it out, if a ground-type Pokemon enters the battlefield, it removes the effect, similar to if a poison-type Pokemon enters the battlefield on Toxic Spikes, it removes it?
Well, no. The ground type and ground types and electric types would just be immune to that damage outright.
No, I'm just saying as like a balancing factor to it, similar to how if a poison-type Pokemon enters on Toxic Spikes, it straight up absorbs them and removes them from the field.
Okay, so like grounding the storm.
The battlefield would remove the electric thing because it just sort of grounds the area and sucks it up.
So grounding the storm. Yeah, that totally works. So we'll call that Storm Cell, and that's Raikou new signature move. I think all of these Pokemon are going to get something like that, because we're moving on to Entei, the volcano Pokemon.
Entei, that is such an awesome name, the volcano Pokemon.
Yep, which also has Inner Focus, which replaced Flash Fire.
Okay.
It is, if I recall correctly, the weakest of the legendary beasts.
It is actually it is the inverse of Raikou, where Raikou was Aryu with some play in Aryu. Its first sitting is actually in Yu.
Oh, it's actually gotten better now.
Yeah, because it has Sacred Fire.
Hold on. That's right. 100 base power, 95% accurate, 50% chance to burn. And it is learned only by Ho-Oh and Entei. Well, okay, Entei's not getting a signature move because it already has one, basically.
Yep.
Well, we don't need to go...
It had a signature move for a very short bit with Eruption before they gave that to a lot of other Fire-type Pokemon.
That is true. So it's weird. It got robbed of a signature... No, wait, it wasn't even its signature move.
It wasn't?
No. The first Pokemon to learn it were Camerupt and Groudon.
I always forget that. Like, it feels like that should have been his signature move in Gen 2.
And Torkoal as well. Because Torkoal gets it by breeding.
It 100% should have been Entei's signature move back in Gen 2.
Yeah. Also, Entei could not learn Eruption in Diamond and Pearl. It only got that ability to learn it in Platinum.
That is so weird.
Indeed.
Well, Platinum fixed a lot of problems in Diamond and Pearl, and I guess this was another one. But, okay, so it has access to Sacred Fire, a good speed tier, decent bulk, and its claim to Sacred Fire's burn chances, its claim to fame, making it immensely frustrating to even fire-resistant foes. It is able to outspeed many key threats in the metagame, and yeah, has really good speed, really good bulk, and a really good burn move.
Indeed, a really strong pseudo signature move. So Entei does not get that because I forgot it got Sacred Fire. Mm-hmm. Next,
also it gets extreme speed. And actually Stone Edge.
Wow, it actually has pretty respectable coverage then. Especially since it's a physical attacker.
Also gets Flare Blitz, the best physical fire-type move.
Yep. Recoil be damned.
Oh wait, Sacred Fire is also physical.
Yep.
I would have thought it'd be special because of Ho-Oh.
Because it's a big old fireball, but nope, it's a physical move.
Next up is
Suicune.
Forgot how to spell his name. Suicune.
Yep. S-U-I.
Okay, Gary got it. Suicune is mixed around. It's in RU mostly, but it sees play in OU and UU as well.
Probably because it's a really bulky water type.
It is literally like the definition of like the truest first bulky water that like defined bulky water.
Yep, especially back in Generation 3. This thing was the bulky water in OU back then. So for
its main moveset is a substitute Calm Mind set.
Okay. And notice how it has a lot of ice moves. So here's an interesting idea for a signature move similar to what we were giving Raikou and the Sacred Flame thing for Entei. Or Sacred Fire thing for Entei. What if it has, like, remember how I was talking earlier about a ground fire type move that is both types, the original concept for Burnout for Donphan?
Yeah.
What if we have a move called Sleet Storm or something like that, which is...
I have a similar idea to that. I still don't think that should be how... I still think that dual-type moves should only belong to really, like, dedicated dual-type Pokemon.
Yeah.
But I have a better idea. Remember how we said in an earlier video we were talking about, like, how we absolutely agree that the Frostbite version of Freeze from the Legends of Arceus should be how it's adapted to in the modern day for Freeze?
Yeah, Frostbite replacing Freeze is absolutely something that should happen.
Yeah, where it deals burn damage the same way, but it lowers special attack instead of physical attack.
Yep.
What if we gave Suicune a water-type move that has, like, a 30% chance to inflict frostbite?
Or even 50%. And
a sacred fire for water that freezes.
And it's special, and I have the perfect name for it. Chilling Rapids.
Ooh. That is really good. I love that.
And the flavor text is, a freezing cold torrent of water strikes the opponent. May cause frostbite.
Yeah, I love that.
Like,
and actually, it would 100%, because its current only attacking water, its only attacking move at the moment that's water is Scald. And this would 100% just replace Scald.
Which it would be even more fitting because here are, like, it learns not 1, not 2, but 4 ice-type moves by level up. Sheer Cold, Mist, Ice Fang, and Blizzard. And it has access to moves like Icy Wind, Hail, Avalanche, and Ice Beam. It gets a lot of ice-type moves.
Yeah. I 100% agree that it should have this Freezing Rapids move that has a 50% chance to freeze, but is a water-type move.
Yep, or in this case, inflict frostbite.
Yes.
Now, Tyranitar.
Oh god, the original just, like... Alright, gotta spell this correctly. Oh god, this Pokemon terrorized the meta.
One of the most iconic pseudo-legendaries of all time, and in Generation 3 OU, is the Pokemon that you must either use or have counters for. Tyranitar is ubiquitous. Like, I think it genuinely...
Ultimate Gaming did a video on, like, the best Pokemon of every generation in, like, how big of a threat they were to the thing. Tyranitar in Gen 3 was only ever outclassed by Mewtwo of Gen 1.
You're right. Oh, no, you're talking about the most busted Pokemon. And, yeah, Tyranitar was on that video. I don't think it was in second place.
He was number 2. The only thing that bested Tyranitar was Mewtwo.
That was actually Zacian. The Tyranitar was actually number 5.
Oh, right. Oh, it was? Oh, wow.
Yeah. But that's okay. It was the first Pokemon that was talked about, and he is... BKC, who is his editor, was talking, like, Tyranitar is ubiquitous. I think at one point in time, BKC said that Tyranitar was on every single Gen 3 OU team. All of them. Which, that kind of usage is incredible because of how potent Sandstorm is in Generation 3.
He still is uber to this day. Like, he's primarily, his tier is OU, but he still sees play in uber. Wait, there's a format called Godly Gift?
What the hell is that?
I'm looking this up now. Pokemon Godly Gift meta.
What the hell is that?
GG premise. The gods have found favor with your Pokemon. Pick your god of choice and have its incredible power bestowed upon your team.
What?
Clauses, Species Clause, Oko Clause, Sleep Move Clause, restrictions, you may have one anything goes uber Pokemon as your god. Oh, I see.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay.
So it's basically anything goes light, and it still sees play in that format.
Yep.
And also it sees play in anything goes.
Yep. And one of my favorite things about Tyranitar being this amazingly powerful, crazy Pokemon, it is not because of its typing. It is It is Rock Dark. It has 4 neutral matchups. Rock, Electric, Ice, and Dragon. It resists 6 types. Normal, Flying, Poison, Ghost, Fire, and Dark. It is also immune to Psychic. But it has 7 weaknesses, and one of them is a 4 times weakness to Fighting. Like, wow, talk about a wild type disparity.
It is the definition that you can have a Pokemon have really bad stats, a really bad type combination, and still just be really busted.
Yep, be a god among gods. Plus, it helps that Sandstorm buffs its special defense. Like, its physical defense is 110, and its special defense is 100. The damn thing doesn't need an assault vest if it is running basically exclusively Sandstream.
Yeah, it currently runs, in its OU set, it runs either heavy-duty boots or leftovers. Why does it even need heavy-duty boots? It's rock type. Like, do people run spikes that much in formats?
Well, spikes and toxic spikes.
Yeah, I guess.
You also have to consider the possibility of getting poisoned from your entry hazards.
That is fair. But he runs Stealth Rock, Rock Blast, Earthquake, and Thunder Wave Toxic. I guess he's a support Pokemon mostly in this format.
Which is well, I mean, when your only ability that isn't Unnerve is Sandstream, that's plenty damage enough.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. Yeah, its unique defensive typing and solid bulk allows, under Sand, allows it to check prominent special attackers in the tier like Dragapult, Heat Ram. So I guess, yeah, its typing does give it advantages against special attackers.
Especially so, when you consider the Sandstream buff.
Yeah, so like Flying typers, Fire typers, Psychic typers, Dragon, it has resistances to that stuff.
Or, like, it's neutral to Dragon, but again, it's neutral. It's not weak to it.
Yeah, exactly. Alternatively, Tyranitar can use its great attack stat, amazing offensive typing, strong coverage options, and Choice Band to become a fearsome wall breaker. Sandstream allows Tyranitar to support Sand Sweepers like Excadrill and Dracozolt, and Sand Veil Garchomp. However, Tyranitar's typing leaves it vulnerable to common Pokemon in the metagame, such as Landorus T, Rillaboom. Yeah, so basically, this is just a Pokemon that has good checks, but good use.
Oh yeah. Like, Tyranitar, we don't need to do anything to Tyranitar. If you're asking us to do something to Tyranitar, that is ridiculous. We're not doing that. I mean, the damn thing is one of those Pokemon that got a pointless Mega. So...
Yeah. Oh god, it did not need a Mega. Especially since I love that there's so many biologists who bring up just the sheer pointless, the absurdity of its like form, because animals that have these massive spikes and patterns all over it, like the way its patterns on its chest makes it look more intimidating, and the massive spikes that seem to deter it from attacks, it makes it look like it has predators. Who is preying on Tyranitar?
That is a very, very good question. Now let's talk about one of my favorite Pokemon that is amazing in singles, for the most part, but is terrible in doubles, or at the very least has a lot of trouble in doubles. Lugia.
Lugia, the Great Wall.
Yes, the Great Wall in singles, but in doubles, it's actually not that good, at least in a restricted format. Because, especially in Generation 8, with things like Zacian, Calyrex Shadow, Regieleki, Regidrago, all of these crazy busted legendaries. Yveltal is considered a middling restricted, and it's used more than Lugia.
Yeah, the problem is that in singles, it's only going to be taking one attack a turn, which means in combination with Roost and its multi-scale ability, it'll survive one attack very easily and recover back its HP. But in doubles, its multi-scale gets turned off the minute it takes the first hit, and then it's taking all that big damage all over again. Like, yeah, it has really good defensive stats. 130 defense, 154 special defense, 106 HP.
And a respectable 110 base
gods, even Lugia is going to be taking good damage from gods.
Yep, and then you also have to consider, too, one other thing, especially in Generation 8, worth considering, neutralizing gas exists.
Mm-mm.
So, goodbye multiscale, hello getting one shot by a Mamoswine.
Yeah. But it's still insane in singles.
And in doubles, it's not like it's bad in doubles, it's just gotta work a lot harder.
Yeah. It's just... Okay, if you want to learn more about Lugia, just watch False Swipe Gaming's video on Lugia, because there's a reason this thing is called The Wall.
The Great Wall. Now, its counterpart, Ho-Oh, might be worse in singles, but it's also better in doubles, so it kind of balances out. And the reason why it's so good in doubles is because of Regenerator and Sacred Fire.
Yep. It has some really good, like, it has inevitability with what it does.
Yep, you are going to be eating big damage, you are probably going to eat a burn, and you are going to see this thing heal with its regenerator ability. Also has a signature item called Sacred Ash. What does this do? When used from the bag, it fully restores the HP of all fainted Pokemon in the party. It is consumed after use, and you only get one of these.
Huh, that is a really powerful item.
Yep, but it's one of those items that you have to use like a potion.
Yeah, and it only works in the game because you can't use items from the bag in the competitive.
Yep, still, really cool flavor text that it's got Phoenix Ashes as a held item.
Oh.
Anywho,
it has access to Sacred Fire, Defog, either Toxic Thunderwave or Brave Bird, and then either Whirlwind or Brave Bird. And now this thing's biggest weakness has finally been ended with heavy-duty boots.
Yep. Also, fun fact, did you know that Ho-Oh can actually learn a Water-type move? 2 Water-type moves, actually. 3 Water-type... Nope, that's the same one. 2 Water-type moves. It can learn Rain Dance and Life Dew. Which is kind of cool that it learns a Water-type healing move, because, Phoenix stuff. But here's where it gets...
I'm looking at it. It has 3 movesets.
In Ubers?
Yes.
Then it's
It
fine.
has a choice band set running Sacred Fire, Brave Bird, Earthquake, and then either Whirlwind, Flare Blitz, or Defog. And then it has an offensive moveset which runs Sacred Fire or Flare Blitz and Brave Bird, Thunder... Okay, these are all just, like, different mix matches of the same moveset.
Yep, and normally I don't like running moves that have recoil, but it is super intuitive it is super duper intuitive with Ho-Oh, because you take damage from Brave Bird, you heal it off by switching out.
Yeah.
Also,
and now that it has access to Regenerator, to heavy-duty boots, you no longer ever have to worry about the damage of Stealth Rock.
Yep, so Ho-Oh is doing great. So now we come to our final Pokemon for this episode, and the final Pokemon from Johto. Rest in peace, Johto. We quite enjoyed running through your crazy nonsense. Celebi, the time travel Pokemon.
I just realized once more, the thing people comment about how lazy a lot of Pokemon Gen 2's designs were, where a lot of Pokemon have the identical base stat total of different Pokemon from Gen 1?
Well, Celebi is basically Mew.
Yes, it has the identical base stat total of Mew.
But so
for no reason. Because for Mew, it makes absolute sense. It's the very first Pokemon. It has the DNA code of every other Pokemon in the world. So yeah, it has just the perfect balanced base stat total, neither good nor bad. Why is Celebi 100 on everything?
Well, because it's technically a mythical Pokemon, the iconic mythical Pokemon for each generation, which is traded, which up until I think it was either Generation 6 or Generation 7, every single one of those Pokemon had that base stat total. Jirachi did. Manaphy did. Victini did.
Alright. That's fair.
I think they only started messing around with that relatively recently, because I know Zarude is different, and I think Zeraora is different too. But,
okay.
Any hoodle noodle. So Celebi, here's the thing about Celebi that I'm really curious about flavor-wise. It's the time travel Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of moves that could relate to that. It has access to Trick Room. It has access to Heal Bell. It has access to Life Dew and Leech Seed, and stuff like that. But I'm wondering if it should get a move, like, we'll talk about this, I think, with Dialga, but should it get a move that lets it mess with time somehow? Like, effectively, I have a move. I was about to say, don't make it Roar of Time, please.
No. Deja Vu.
Uh-oh.
It is Encore for the entire for everyone except SLB herself, because she's not, making her use the move over and over again. That would be insane. But it's an Encore move that hits your ally and both opponents.
Meaning that you just repeat the turn.
Yes. for like 4 turns, I believe, or 5 turns for the same length of time as Encore, but it hits everyone.
Oh, goodness. Let me take a look at this. Hold on. Because that might be a little bit scary. I need to stop making this a new browser tab. Okay, here we go. Encore, move. Encore lasts... Okay, so lasts for 2 to 6 turns. Okay. Okay, they finally made it a standard exactly 3 turns. Thank God they did that? Because in Generation...
Yeah, that's super annoying to make it, like, variable. No.
Because in Generation 4, the last time it was variable, Diamond and Pearl.
Okay, so it's 3 turns. So, like, okay. So, yeah, so it lasts for 3 turns in this instance also, but it hits everyone around them. It hits also your allied Pokemon, so you have to play around it. You have to make your Pokemon do a move that you know for a fact it'll do well doing over and over again for a few turns.
Yep. And another thing, too, is, like I just want to talk about the variability for a second, because it is dumb. Like, Encore in Diamond and Pearl lasted 3 to 7 turns.
7?
Uh-huh. Well, I'm not done yet. Platinum made it last from 2 to 6 turns. And then in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, it lasted a minimum of 4 turns, but could have lasted up to 8 turns.
That is ridiculous.
Uh-huh. And then in Generations 5 and 6, or from Generation 5 onwards, technically, because it looks like they didn't change that for Generation 7, because most of the changes are like Generation 7 and 8 moves. But in Generation 5, from then on, it now lasts exactly 3 turns.
Thank the heavens.
Thank you, Game Freak, for not making this thing last 8 turns.
That is ridiculous.
Yep. And that's...
Yeah, no, I think that would be a really cool signature move for Celebi. Deja vu, being able to just repeat the turn cycle for 3 turns.
I like that. And then Dialga, we can give it something else, because Dialga is the god of time, whereas Celebi is a minor deity of time.
Celebi is the safekeeper of time.
Yeah.
Its job is to basically protect the time stream, make sure it stays intact, make sure like other time traveling threats don't cause any problems.
Whereas Dialga created the concept of time.
Yes, and oversees the flow of time and make sure plans the events that will happen in the future and things like that.
And then Celebi is effectively the hand of Dialga in that.
Exactly.
So that is Generation 2. Let's quickly go back and review the generation, because, wow, the Generation 2 was a fucking roller coaster.
It basically boils down to, did this Pokemon get anything new in a later generation? No? Sorry, this Pokemon's still trash.
Yep. Meganium was a problem. Furret we had lots of fun ideas for. Same with Noctowl. Then things like Crobat came into the scene. Ariados has and a lot of these Pokemon I think have it. I think the theme for Generation 2 overall is hidden potential. Did the Pokemon get a way to express its hidden potential? Did it get a new evolution? Did it get a new move? Did it get something that allowed it later on that allowed it to become better? Then it became good. And other Pokemon in here may not have gotten it, but have that potential. Mantine, Ariados,
Sunflora, Magcargo.
Yeah. And of course, it's also the generation that introduced Quagsire, the great equalizer.
And also Tyranitar, the terror of all meta.
Yes, pretty much. Also Wobbuffet, the funniest Pokemon in all of existence. But yeah, and there's just tons of these Pokemon that either have hidden potential that it remains untapped, or they have tapped into their potential and have become either really good or really fucking obnoxious, Smeargle. So next time we're going to be next time after I upload the 2 videos that I'm supposed to be uploading for this series, we're going to be taking a look at Generation 3, starting from the starters and probably making, and let's see, if we're doing our 30 Pokemon rule, that is from 252 to 282, which will take us from Trico to Gardevoir.
Okay.
So that's where we're going to probably end up if we're actually going to stick to the damn time stream shenanigans and don't get slapped upside the head by Celebi or Dialga. We'll see. Don't forget to be awesome, my friends. We'll see you guys on the other side.